YouTube, what's up? I'm back at you, coming to you for part 2 of my TNT overview. Got a lot of interesting comments, a lot of good feedback from my first video, just talking about my experience and my trainer. And one thing I do want to clear up is my issues that I had wasn't or is not with Prime. It's the individual trainers. Like I said, some trainers are in it for the right reasons and they do it open-heartedly, and they they like to train. They don't just do it for the extra clock or the extra money, as terminology is like a lot of people use. But and then you have some trainers that are just in it for the money and the clock. So, but like I said, it's the individual trainer. I just got the bad straw, I guess. But yeah, that was my experience. So what I want to do in this video is just talk about some things that if I were training a student, how I would approach the situation. And I would start out with an introduction, because obviously they're gonna call you or whatever, and you guys talk briefly on the phone and set up a time to meet if you both aren't at the terminal or campus. So I wrote some things down. This one shouldn't be that long, but I would start off as an introduction, get to know my student. I would find out things that they feel like they're comfortable with, that they're not comfortable with. I would automatically put my expectations out there, and I would also find out what their expectations are, with TNT. When you set those boundaries like that immediately right up front, I think you have a clear understanding of how things are going to go, what you're going to get from it, what I'm going to get from it, because even though you're training, you're still supposed to be able to learn. Everybody's different. I may use some terminology in my list because it's just from fire department. So, but like I said, the first thing I would do is, just the introduction. What are you comfortable with? What aren't you comfortable with? How are you with backing? We're going to be doing lots of backing. So how are you with backing? Because a lot of people come into trucking from totally different other careers. So the first time driving a truck is in PSD. You get the PSD, you get your license. Then you just get out on the road. You know what I'm saying? If you have an in-house PSD trainer, you're not on the road. They may schedule a trip with you, like I did a Chicago run. So it was an up and back type thing, like maybe like a 8-10 hour trip or something like that. But and then you do have the over-the-road PSD trainers as well. So yeah, they're supposed to get you ready to pass your test. If you have an over-the-road trainer, in my opinion, yes, you'll get comfortable driving the truck. Yes, you'll learn the ins and outs of the business, but you won't necessarily get what you need to pass your test at the pad. Now, they do bring you back. I think so. They do bring you back, and you do go over some stuff right before you, maybe a couple days before you take your test, to learn the points and stuff like that. Points are very important. So once we, the general introduction, I would move on to just the tractor itself, the pre-trip of the tractor. We do Freightliner, Peterbilt, there's some Volvos, Internationals, and then you have lightweights. So I would, talk about whatever truck I'm in. I would talk about this specific truck, you know what I mean? The ins and out, how it works, how you adjust this, and just overall tractor stuff. Again, you gotta give information and then get the information from the student to make sure that they're comprehending correctly. I'm sorry. And then again, you gotta ask questions. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody receives information the same way on the same speed. So sometimes you may have to slow it down, not in an insulting way. So after you go over the tractor, and again, this is just my opinion. I'm not saying it's the right way. This is just what I would do. Obviously, we go to the trailer, just the overall trailer. And then obviously that would be broken down. I would separate and make trailer, load locks and stuff like that. And then I would have reefer operations. That's a totally different thing. I would go over set points and how you set the reefer for different produce. It could be meat, it could be juice, it could be beer, flowers. We do a lot of flower loads. So I think that's important to know how to operate the reefer. That's especially if you're in the reefer division. You should know how to do that, and that should be taught to you in your TNT. And I mentioned load locks. So, load locks are load securement, if you want to call it that. You need to know how to secure the load, when to use the load locks. I believe Prime has 2 different ones I've seen on different trucks. Some with a blue handle, some with a black handle, some ratchet, some pull out and plug. And so I've seen a couple different ones. Even looking at different trucks at different truck stops, there's a lot of different load locks out there. So yeah, that's important too, because you need to know how to do that. You need to know when to do it. And also, as far as the loads, you have claims. If something is damaged, or is there a shortage, or is there an overage, you need to know how to properly document that and contact claims. So you would go over there, go over the stuff, and then you would ask your student, make sure that they understand, and then like the next week or whatever, student shall perform XYZ. Student shall perform and or show proficiency in setting on the reefer, setting the correct temperature or something like that. Then you have the Qualcomm. And again, I may be missing some things here and there, but this is things that I quickly thought of. So the Qualcomm is basically your bread and butter. Is where you get all your information, in addition to your phone on the app. So your phone, your app, the Prime app, the Qualcomm will give you all your information that you need about this particular load, trip number, temperatures, weight. I've even seen some where it had, the miles was on there, empty, loaded. You should be taught what empty and loaded is if you don't know. But I've even seen some where they have the list of the, can't even think of it, the list of what you're picking up. You should also be taught and shown how to go to a shipper, how to check in with a shipper, how to check in when you get to a receiver. If you're doing multiple stops, like I didn't know coming into this that we did multiple stops, but now I know. So it's like a lot of things that a lot of information is going to be thrown at you, but you slow it down. Again, you slow it down, you talk to your student, and you go make sure that every week, that if you start here, every week you're building and building and building on top of what you've already gone over. Next, after claims, I got permits. My trainer didn't even show me the permit book. That was one of them things that had some downtime. I saw it on the door. I picked it up and I opened it and I started reading the information that's inside. Once you do the upgrade process, you actually get a big packet and it tells you about permits. So I read this as well. They have videos, the CBTs that you're doing. You do a bunch of videos and stuff like that. But it's important that you open that permit book. Because when you do get a truck, everything is in there that you need to operate that truck. You cannot move that truck without that permit book. So they have stuff in there in reference to Canada. Maryland has some stuff in their permit book. So that's important. Again, your Easy Pass, your Way Station Pass, everything is in that permit book to move and operate that truck within the law. The loads itself, like I said, you might be picking up flowers, you could be picking up produce, you could be picking up meat. You have high value loads, and that could be from anything. Anything could be marked as a high value load, and usually they'll discuss that with you at the time that they give you the load. And again, that could be anything. But you need to know and understand when you get a high value there's certain things that are involved that you have to do as a driver or a team truck. You should be taught the macros. The macros, again, is something that we use on the Qualcomm. It's so how you do your reports. When you get to destination, when you get to the shipper receiver, when you leave the shipper or receiver, when you drop a trailer, when you pick up a trailer, damage reports. When you do your inspection and stuff of the trailer that you drop and pick up, you have to do an inspection report. So the macros, there's macros in there that will tell you about fueling. When you have to check in, when you have a high value load, there's macros in there for that. The macros would pretty much guide you, what you need to do for each load and, day-to-day operations. Also your clock. I think there should be a good amount of time spent on clock management. Because it can be tricky, and your clock, again, is your bread and butter of how you move. Because if you don't have hours, you're not going nowhere. So you need to know how to manage your day. You should be taught how to pre-plan, map out your routes, map out your load, map out your trip plan, pre-plan, same thing. I always say pre-plan, and fire service we say pre-plan. So trip plan, I'm sorry. You need a trip plan. You need to know where you're fueling. You need to make sure that the route that the GPS is telling, or the Qualcomm is telling you to go, that it hasn't changed. I recommend, the Qualcomm does have a GPS, but I recommend getting your own, and make sure it is a truck GPS. You have Ram McNally's, you have Garmin Diesels. I recommend one of those that is a truck GPS. So to tell you about truck routes, bridges, and communities and roads that you should not be on with a semi-truck. So yeah, that's the load. And then weights. Weights is important too. When you pick up your load, luckily Prime on their trailers has the scale in the back. So when you get loaded, you pull away from the door, pull away from the dock, close your doors, and then you see how much you weigh. You should be taught the different weights that you should have on your steers, your drives, and then your trailer. How you manipulate the weights in the trailer. How you move and slide your tandems all the way up, all the way back. You should be taught the sticker that's on the trailer of what states allow you to have your tandems in certain holes or not. You can also shorten your truck up or make it longer by sliding the fifth wheel. There should be a whole little, segment on fifth wheel stuff. Should make sure that the student is also taught how to hook up correctly. Because I've seen some where you hook up and disconnect, and people don't use the air dump when they're, decoupling. And then they just pull from under the trailer, and you hear all this noise and stuff like that, and it sounds like something broke. But when you pull the lever, for me, and this is what worked for me, when you pull the lever, you hit the air dump, and usually I slide right from underneath a trailer almost with no noise. Now, that depends on what kind of level you're going to be on and stuff like that. So, long as you're on even ground, hard ground, obviously make sure that you can drop a trailer where you are. What else? So yeah, that's just a short list. And again, that short list right here is a lot more information that I would go over with my student if I had one. And still, there would probably be a few other things. Stuff that I haven't written down I can think of is chains. What states have chain laws? What is a chain law? The stuff that you add to your fuel in different states, different temperatures. You need to put stuff in your fuel so your fuel don't freeze. You don't know this stuff. How you gonna know? Then you wonder why you broke down, because your fuel done turned to jelly and stuff like that. It's little small things like you're always supposed to have a lock on your trailer. So how to how to read your statements, your settlements. That's another one. Now, we do get a class when we take the tax class or whatever, how to read your settlements and stuff like that. But that's good to know on your own because you're going to be on the road. So you're not going to be able to, sit in front of somebody all the time. So it's good to learn it. And they actually, in this packet here, give you a settlement, like a code sheet. So if you see like a certain code here, if you see a certain code on your settlements, I know you can't see, it's a little blurry, but you can look at the code, and this tells you, okay, for example, AP, it'll say like AP, and it'll say rental of the AC unit. So you'll know what the AP means when you see it on your settlement. This is how you get paid, folks. Like, if you don't know what these codes are and you don't know why they taking this amount of money out, but they just put letters up there and you don't know, and you don't take the time to ask, that's your loss. That's your money. You know how important. You're not down here doing this for free. So, but it's like four or five pages front and back, that tells you what the codes are. So, like I said, they give you the information. You just have to take the time to read it. But I would even, go over that with my student. Not in depth, you know what I'm saying, but just a basic understanding of what your settlements mean, how you read it, what the breakdown is, why you have this here, why is this over here, and stuff like that. This way, when they get out, they're not just blindsided or just don't have any clue at all of how to read their settlements and, how to even document, how they're supposed to get paid. That's another one, too, paperwork. And I can keep thinking of stuff. Paperwork is a big one. Paperwork is how we get paid, folks. So you need to know on the app, it's very helpful. The app actually is really good. So on the app, you have scan in documents. There's a trip sheet, and then there's your bill of ladings that you need to be filled out properly and scanned in within a certain amount of time so you can get paid. Because if you wait, that's your loss. Again, this is your money. These papers, bill of lading and the trip sheets, that's your money of how you get paid. So you need to, my word of advice is when you do a load and before you click on the part receiver, just sit there and scan your paperwork. And it'll take about 2-3 minutes. You know what I mean? It's right there in front of you instead of throwing it on the dash, let it pile up, and then you like, oh my God, now we got to sit somewhere for 30 minutes because you got to do, 4 loads worth of paperwork to scan in. Chances are you might lose it. Something might spill on it. Just do it before you leave. But you guys get the idea of what I'm saying. Wanted to keep this under 20 minutes like the last one went over. But again, that's how I would do it. Again, there would probably be some other stuff thrown in there as well. But that's what I would do. I do plan on, maybe doing a student, maybe 1 student, 2 students if time permits, according to what my plan is with Prime. So, but yeah, I wanted to do the part 2. I said I would. A couple people actually asked me to, and I thank y'all for support, subscribing, hanging with me, and bearing with me through this. But yeah, so I'm almost done my upgrade stuff. I got another class on Tuesday. I got a couple more videos to do, and then hopefully I'll get to look at trucks. And I guess after that, I got to do a truck tour. So, yeah, your boy hopes to get a Pete. Freightliners are nice, but everybody want that Peterbilt. So, but yeah, other than that, I'm going to finish watching this basketball game. I think there's another game on. Brooklyn's killing Boston right now. So, again, I appreciate y'all. And I will get back at y'all. So I hope this wasn't too long, too dry. If y'all want to see anything else, want me to go over something else, let me know. Also, I got a driver code now. I had this for a while. So if my videos are helping you guys and answer questions, and you want to put me down as a referral, my driver code is MEDLOA. MEDLOA. And I will put that in the descriptions down below. And I think after a certain amount of time, I'll be able to train. I think it's 90 days or maybe a little longer, less, or something like that. But I'll definitely let you know. guys want a trainer, somebody that's going to be thorough and true to you, hit me up. Let me know. We out here and get this money together. Until next time, y'all be safe.